So I was training our team internally on our Medspa process, on our updated Medspa process, on how to get patients cheaper than ever now during the cusp of the Andromeda update on Meta, so Facebook and Instagram. We run ads for 30 med spas across multiple states in the US, and we generate appointments with just Meta ads at a minute. And the Andromeda update, if you've heard about it, this is going to cover everything you need to know in order to run your own ads successfully. If you've had success and it's kind of died out, or if you have tried Meta in the past and you didn't quite crack it. And so our team of media buyers and graphic designers and video editors are now all going through this particular training, which is making a bunch of psychological approaches more important than ever. This is stuff that we knew for years now, and the Andromeda update is not new. It's just something that Meta is getting more vocal and more transparent and open about now in October when it's fully rolled out. So if you've had a rubbish summer with your ads, or if ads are kind of starting to decay now, or if you're planning to run ads and you want to make sure that you're not going to waste a bunch of money, this is the perfect time to watch this. This is lessons from spending over $10 million in ads. And I wanted to kind of go through this sequentially, but I realized this might be a bit boring for some of you watching this. And so I'm going to get straight to the core of it. And then we may go back to revisit some of these slides on what Andromeda is, why it's relevant, why it's a game changer, what you can do and what it really means. But behind and beyond just looking at what's under the bonnet, let's look at the 5 stages of awareness, because this is really the core of this whole thing. So what's happening right now with Andromeda is the AI is basically inundating the entire sort of advertising space with AI slop. Okay, so a bunch of people are now running a ton of creatives, a ton of statics and graphics made with the AI, and the algorithm is basically struggling to sift the correct ad to show to the correct people. That's really it. That's what's created this problem, and that's why Meta created the Andromeda update. The Andromeda update is meant to combat the large volume of AI slop with a new way of sifting through all of this creative quickly and efficiently. In doing so, it is now looking for creative, for graphics and videos that are speaking to the 5 levels of awareness. So if you're not aware of the 5 levels of awareness, this is essentially the customer's journey. So say someone who wants to do to get some body contouring, or someone who wants to fix something about their facial appearance, wrinkles, or facial imbalances, or hyperpigmentation, whatever it may be, the journey always starts unaware. So at the beginning, they are unaware that they have a problem, but they might start to feel the symptoms of it. Then they go into problem aware, which is where they know they have a problem to solve, but are unaware of the specific solutions. Solution aware evolves into product aware, which is when they start finding out that there are specific med spas that can't solve that for them. And then at the end, they're mostly aware. It's when they're starting to kind of ponder their decisions. Should I go with this med spa? Should I go with the other med spa? How much should I pay? Is now the time to do it, to pull the trigger on this thing that I'm trying to solve? And so creative now needs to attack all these 5 stages of awareness. That's the difference. And so if your ads for the longest time have looked like statics that are just showing the price point, well, that's no longer going to cut it. And if it does, well, it does it for a very limited period of time before the ads die out. Let me try and show you an example. Okay, so this is an example of a static that's very most aware. So it's hitting the client, the customer, the prospect with a very aggressive offer, the price point, the offer, the promise, and most importantly, this kind of before and left and right comparison, us versus them. It's a body contouring service that's kind of contrasted with a tummy tuck, which is obviously another alternative for someone who wants to lose body fat. It's a very aggressive contrast. These ads work and they crush, but because the most aware stage is the one that's the most restricted, they tend to die out quickly. So back to the presentation. If you are running those kinds of ads, the number one symptom that those ads are dying out is that they fatigue quickly. So they run for a while, they get you some leads, they get you some appointments, and then they die out. Super important. Just because they continue to get you leads, especially if they're cheap leads, it doesn't mean that they didn't fatigue. The second indicator that these are ads that are fatigued is they're no longer hitting the correct audiences, meaning you're ending up with a bunch of ghost leads and people who don't engage, don't pick up the phone, don't book. That's just as good. Just as dead. It's an ad that you might want to get rid of. And the reason why that's happening is because of the pyramid of the levels of awareness. And so in the market, you have this very small percentage of people that are buying now. Everyone else is downstream, open to buying, not even thinking about it, and so on and so forth. And so for 10 people, if you're only attacking those those three, you're missing out on 7 opportunities to speak to the other ones. Okay. And so more than that rather, this is 3%, it's not 30%. So you can understand how disproportionate the quality and quantity of people that you can actually sell to is. Okay. And so just as a quick sort of summary of everything that you can use for your creatives, these are formats that work all the time. So if you find yourself in a bit of a creative rut in terms of the ads that you're running and you don't really have any ideas on what to produce next, this is what you want to lean on. Testimonial videos with real client stories, educational content, so how Botox works, benefits of laser, position as the expert and build trust. I'll show you a bunch of examples in a second. You can also play with a format. So carousel ads can deliver the exact same style of content in a different format. You can have a problem aware in slide 1, you can have a solution aware in slide 2, results CTA in slide 3, and there's just a different format for audiences to engage with. At the moment, I know for a fact TikTok is pushing carousels extremely hard, Meta not so much, but times and times these things change around. Reels, short form content, always reigns supreme on these two platforms at the minute. What people don't realize is that on Meta there's 30 different placements, there's feeds, there's stories, there's reels, there's threads now as well. And so reels, super useful. Again, the same style, so testimonials, educational content. The more wordy and the longer the content, the more you are basically attacking these levels and less this one. So the way it kind of works is at the problem aware, we need to educate the markets. We need to educate the prospect. At the solution aware, we need to continue the education. And in the product Medspa aware, most aware is where we make an offer and we try to get them hooked so that they come into our Medspa and other competitors down the road. Alrighty. Now let's look at the Medspa, the marketing media buying tactics. So if you're running your own ads, you understand targeting used to play an important role in it. It no longer does. So too narrow targeting is basically running interests or age bands in your targeting. No need to do that. Keep it broad and open. Target a 10-mile radius around your location. Make sure you have around 500,000 people in there, enough. In there, then creative variation is the next most important thing. 1-2 ads is not enough. You have to have constant variations. We currently have ad sets where we run 20, 30 different ads. And so we'll let those ads run in there. To be clear, we can have 10 ads in one ad set and see results from just 1 and 2. It no longer means that the other ones are not performing, especially if we've tailored them to these levels of awareness. You could have the other ads basically doing education and nurturing, and only one of the ads is actually capitalizing and closing the deal. Okay, so what did this look like before? If you made variations before, it used to be very simple. You would just make a couple of shuffles of the content, and these are all variations, it's the same theme. Now we want to be attacking these things very differently. We want to be able to use different headlines. We want to be able to use different creative, the static, the graphic itself, and we want to use different text as well. So this is a bad example. This, for all intents and purposes, is still the same creative. And so if we're going to make 10, 20 variations of the same angle, that's not really going to do much for us at the moment, because Meta essentially lumps them together, sends them together, and thinks this is just one creative, which means this type of approach is no longer relevant. If we use the same creative style and we just like shuffle it around, this is made with AI, Meta just look at it and it thinks, nice, this is one creative, let's run it, see how it goes. What we need to do now is we have to make those very big swings. And so here you can see this is pretty price conscious. So this is still going mostly in the most aware stage because it's a direct call to action. It's the direct comparison, us versus them, throwing rocks at the alternative. Price points everywhere. This is potentially more curiosity driven because it's not really doing any price. This is also pretty curiosity driven, and this as well, non-invasive facelift is calling. So this is for someone who's like super unaware. Okay, it can have mass appeal. It can attract people who are not currently actively looking to buy. And so ideally in an ad set and a campaign, you want to cover all of these stages. You want to have direct price and offers, also comparisons, price points, consultations, all of these angles combined. Let's look at another different way of formatting these ads. So for example, here you can see the new way of promoting a product. A lot of times we look at other industries, specifically e-commerce, because e-commerce is so many years ahead of local businesses in terms of sophistication. These guys have to get really, really creative and really, really push the envelope of how they buy media, how they run ads, just because it's so competitive. So there's always something great to learn in terms of formatting. With this particular video, with this particular static set, we can see that you have on one hand the product, the pipette, and then you have the arrow. The headline itself is crucial. Reverse 5 years of hair loss in 3 weeks is a how to achieve solution without pain point, or how to achieve solution in X time frame. Then this is the case study angle, how I did it. Some people don't want to be spoken to. They want to be the ones who read a case study. And then this just like editorial headline style. And obviously the creative very vastly different. Big swings. This one here can't see it because it's too blurry. Essentially it's a timeline. Week 1, what's happening. Week 2, what's happening. Week 5, what's happening. Really nice visual to showcase that story. Imagine that same thing for Botox. Imagine that same thing for microneedling or PRP or body contouring. Any service, any treatment that requires a bit of a process. Okay. And then the text itself, just as much. I thought it was just thinning with age. This is clearly a unaware stage. Someone who doesn't know that they had a problem. They just experience the symptoms. Okay. So anyone who's now experiencing the symptom of I thought it was just thinning with age will realize that actually, hang on, I might have a problem here. That should actually be the headline. That could be the headline. Then here we have very most aware. It's like, get this product right now, save 40%. And this here, fairly similar. This is more like a social proof, sold out 7 times. And then the text itself below it is also attacking it from different ways. This is a direct sort of problem unaware angle here. Your hair is trying to tell you something. Most people ignore their scalp. I assumed volume was the thing about the past. Realistically, I feel like pretty much all 3 of these are unaware, problem aware. They're trying to cast a very, very wide net just because the algorithm favors this approach now. The new way also means big fat headlines. So you can have a big, huge headline. You can have a little image below it. Obviously, very different pain points here, very different kind of approaches. This, for all intents and purposes, is completely different types of creative. Do they look samey? In a sense, the way they're formatted, but they say different things. Men skin is actually chemicals. And again, look at the promise here, money back guarantee and 40% off price. Cool. So then what does the algorithm read? So you can get creative about these elements when you want to piece them together. It reads the video element itself. It reads the creative. It looks at the length, transitioning, pacing, scene changes, colors, movement, intensity. I had a section here as well. Age, race, gender, ethnicity, hair type, background, work. Background, like I mean the actual backdrop of the video. So now it's no longer enough to just have flip-flops, a red pair of flip-flops, a lady who's getting body contouring. It has to be showing the work, the background, blue collar, white collar, the background of the context of this person, like me now with the plants in the background, appeals to a different type of person than someone who would be posing in a glass office, right? Or someone who's on a construction site. You get the idea. These things, the context matters a lot. And so here, what do we have? Back to this, imagery signals. This is basically what I just mentioned now. This is about how you structure the creative, the prominence, the layout, the organization of the whole thing. Copy and messaging. Yes, the headline, the sentiment. So you have your primary text, you have your headline, you have the text inside the creative itself, the static, the visual, the graphic, and the format. So all of these things would basically create an infinity of opportunities to play with formats, with content, to essentially create tons of variations and never fatigue your ads again. And so apart from that, in terms of timeline to results, I've heard this so many times speaking to Medspa's agencies that told them they have to wait weeks, if not months, for ads to perform, spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in ads before seeing any results, and still not seeing more than 4 or 5 leads, which is just insanity. If marketing agencies admitted that the reality is results are actually instantaneous, well then you wouldn't be giving them so much time to start performing, would you? A campaign that doesn't take off straight away in terms of getting leads already has a problem. A campaign that gets leads and doesn't get phone pickups in the first 2-3 days has a problem. If it doesn't get a booked appointment in the first 5-6 days, do not run it. There's no need for it, especially because you can just put a new creative in there and everything downstream changes. A new ad, a new offer, a new creative graphic static video changes everything downstream. Okay. Yes, you can surf at large spends, which is just a technique on how to increase the ad spend. When you spend $200, $300, $400, $500 per day in ads, when you start small, $30, $50 a day, that's really not applicable. It's, again, the media buying, the technical side of it is just simple. It's the creative, the psychology behind the creative, and the copy, the text. That's the thing that makes the difference. Don't kill underperforming ads and highly performing ad sets. Spoke about this already. Essentially, if you have an ad set where multiple ads are not getting any leads, but one is, as long as the ad set as an aggregate, as a whole, is getting your cost per lead that you desire, your cost per appointment that you can afford to pay from a unit economic standpoint for the service that you're promoting, don't kill the other ones. Let them do their thing, okay? So that's kind of like a very quick overview. I'm going to make a part 2 where I go over our videos and a lot of other things. So videos obviously very heavily skewed. I mean, you can look at this video. I'll play this real quick.
Our cryo T-shock treatment works using an alternating cycle of hot and cold therapies.
So this is a video that's made entirely with B-roll. It's just explaining the process. The treatment, it's very solution oriented, it crushes. The only thing that's a bit more problem oriented here is the hook. I'm getting my fat destroyed, because it's more like problem, which is the fat that wants to get destroyed, or the solution. The rest of it is just explaining the cryo treatment, and it's just B-roll, just a couple of scenes. You can imagine that this video is going to appeal to way more people than this, because it tells people a story, it tells people a journey, and this is ultimately what Andromeda wants. This is what Facebook ads want now in order to get you clients cheaper than ever. Clients that come in cash in hand, card in hand, ready to buy you first treatment, ready to buy your packages, ready to come back for more, miles away from the people who are just in for a quick buck, for a quick solution. Groupon type like buyer, bargain hunter who's here today and then gone tomorrow to the next Medspa. Worlds apart. Know how to run the ads to attract more of these ones, less of those ones, and you'll thrive. Hope this is making sense. Hope this is helpful to your success. And until next time.